Welcome back to Alnahudy Central. Welcome if it's the first time you've joined us, but also welcome back to the current subscribers. Now, by my own admissions, there's not been many updates recently. It's been the summer. I kind of had other priorities with work and the kids, so the whole railway room's been neglected, and as you can see, it's a bit of a mess. It's quite a recurring theme that it's always getting a mess, and I'm always having to tell you that I'm tidying it up. But I guess that's the kind of person I am, messy. I'd like to tell you that a lot has taken place in the 2 or 3 months that there hasn't been an update. But quite frankly, that would be lying. Not a lot has taken place. As you can see, it's still in the same state that it was. The only difference being that the bridge has been taken out, because that's what this video is going to be focusing on, because there's nothing else that's been done. But my focus has been on scratch building the bridge that goes in the foreground, so not the viaduct, which still isn't completed, but just the bridge spanning the tracks over there and to the tracks which will be on the other side. So it's the first time I've really scratch built anything. So as I said, nothing much has been done on the layout. I've still been thinking about doing stuff, but my focus, as I said, has been on the bridge area. God, this camera view does nothing for my hairline. So it's the first time I've scratch built anything, and it's a design of my own making, which I'm happy with. And this video is about me making the bridge. So sit back and enjoy. So this month's aim is to try and do something with this bridge, which at the moment doesn't really look like a bridge. So I've unscrewed the piece of wood. The piece of wood we're using is the same as the baseboard, so a piece of 9mm ply, and then as you can see on top, all the way along, we've got the cork underbed to give that raised profile. Spin it over. I've marked out the centre of the piece of ply, which is there, and then from the centre we've got equidistant measurements, which is where I'm going to put these pillars in place. Now these are 3x2 pillars, and they're 14.5 centimetres high, and hopefully it should look something like that. Now around these pillars I'm going to build up to actually get the shape of the pillars you can see in some of the pictures, which are readily available on the internet. But the 3x2 pine gives it strength and rigidity. So I typed in Black Pot's railway bridge onto the internet, went onto Wikipedia, which gave me the actual GPS coordinates, which then gave me a link into Google Earth. Unfortunately, there were some street view images, which you can see just about here. You can zoom in, you can get aerial views, and you can drag and drop to actually where the video takes place, and you can actually zoom in underneath the bridge. You can look around the bridge, and it's a highly useful tool if you haven't got any structures or anything near where you live. You can see here the underneath of the actual bridge, the piping, the ducting, what's the actual rivets or anything like that. You can zoom into the pillars. It's a very effective tool for gaining that realism. What I'm doing here is cutting out all these very girders. Now there are these ones as well. However, these are really meant for bridging across a railway track. So maybe a road going over the railway track or such like. And really using these along the length of the bridge doesn't give the desired effect. So I've got to cut out all these individual girders and then make the kit together. So I've made up a little jig out of scrap pieces of wood, and I've started gluing the Very Girder together. Now, I didn't explain before, but this is the Wills Kit Very Girder SS57, the Very Girder plate girder bridge panels. And with this you can make it to any length you want. So as I said, I've made up this quick jig to make sure that I'm getting a straight line all the time. Because if you put two pieces together, somewhere down the line it'll go skew-whiff. So at least with this little jig, I know I'm going to get a straight line all the time. So what I'm using to glue the actual girder together is my trusty old friend, the Deluxe Materials Plastic Magic, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So you don't need a lot on the end. So I'm just doing two passes on one side of the Very Girder, getting another one and pressing it hard up against the face of the glue. Hold it there for a few seconds, and there you see one nice straight edge. So we're a day into the build, and I've stuck one section on the side of the bridge, and I wasn't entirely happy with the height of the rails, and I was thinking, having looked at prototypical metal bridges, girder style bridges, none of them have got any sort of raised profile or ballast shoulder. So I decided to remove the cork on this, and it's all been sanded down so it's nice and smooth. In the process, I stabbed myself with a chisel. And it wasn't the easiest thing to remove cork stuck down with PVA, but it's done, and I think that'll give a better look, a better overall look for the top side of the bridge, which predominantly is the side you're going to see. So I'm going to crack on with this piece and glue that to the side. What I'm using to glue it to the side, obviously I'm using the Plastic Magic for the plastic to plastic weld, but I'm just using Yoo-Hoo glue to glue the plastic to the wood. And overall that's been on there for 24 hours and that's solid now. So we now have all the plate girders on with the reinforcements on the top once it auto focuses. And these spread along the entire length of the bridge, and as you can see, they're on both sides. So next step, I've pilot holed the holes where each pillar is going to go. So I've started doing the scratch building pillars, and I'm not entirely happy with it. And this is the first time I've actually scratch built anything, and I'm using the fine cast 4mm plain bronze brick plasticard, And then as you can see, there's the main piece of 3B1, which actually takes the strength of the bridge. And then on the outside I've clad 5mm foam board, and that goes round all the way, but I'm not entirely happy with it. I think the joins can be better on the sides, and the overall dimensions I think can be better. So what I've done is I've gone on to model railway scenery and scale model scenery, and I've bought the modern bridge. Now I can use the modern bridge anyway, and the pillars I'm going to probably build a base, something similar to this, and then on the top it's going to be clad with the pillar structures that are from the motorway bridge. So the pier's coming along. I've got the base that's still made out of 5mm foam board clad with plasticard. The main reason I want a plasticard base is because there's going to be water here. If I was to put card or paper base, then obviously it would soak up. So at least with a plasticard base, it's not going to soak up that much. Obviously the top of it's clad with the photo paper from model railway scenery. What I've done here at the top is you do see bridges and bridge piers with metalwork or brickwork with metalwork sticking out. So I've placed some sprues there, which I'm going to obviously grime up and dirty up. And all these are the leftover sprues from the plate girders. I don't like to waste things, so obviously you can see there I've got loads of these sprues here, and I'm going to make them and put them to good use. So to cover this god-awful join here, which is blatantly obvious, what I'm doing is covering it with styrene strip, so there's an edging all the way around. And what I'm using is 0.6 by 0.8, or 0.06 actually, 0.08. And that's going to be clad all the way around. What I'm doing here is painting the sills a concrete colour, which is the rail match concrete. I've already done the top sills with the ironwork sticking out. And what I've done, added to this, is I've added my homemade black wash, which is just a thinned down version of black paint, just to weather that top one. So there should be just a slight difference between the bottom sill and the top sill that you can see, but eventually it'll all be washed down. Once I've done the sills, I'll be onto the brickwork. So the bottom of the piers have had 2 coats of brick paint. First one being Humbrol 70, which is brick colour. The second being the rail match light brick. So next it comes to actually painting on the mortar course. Now I've already done it on some of these. As you can see, that's been finished. However, these are just drying. And what I do for this is make up a thinned down acrylic mortar colour. And I've used some Vallejo Iraqi sand mixed with some white acrylic paint. What I do is I canter it into this shot glass, and then I use the Humbrol, sorry, not Humbrol, Tamiya acrylic thinners. You can use any thinners as long as it's for acrylic. You don't want to be using the enamel thinners for acrylic paints, but as long as it's acrylic thinners, I then make it into a kind of wash and then spread it all over the pillars, making sure that you get a random kind of effect, so it's kind of haphazard. And then as long as it goes into the mortar course, let it dry for about 5 minutes, and then you can wipe it off with a kitchen towel. That, folks, is probably the best part to wind up part one. I'm conscious of getting a very long video, so stay tuned for part two.